fourth grade. Glad to be back with you guys again today. I was a little sad when I was doing my planning for this week because this is going to be the last week of the Tiger Rising. I'm really disappointed that I didn't get to be there with you guys and be in the classroom and have some great classroom discussions. I know that my class and Miss Stewart's homeroom, we had gotten started with the book before school was out, and we had some really great class discussions, and I'm so sorry that we had to miss that for the last part of the book. But we're doing the best we can. So we're going to move on because we got a lot to do today. I left you off at the end of chapters 25 and 26, and we did not do the extension activity. It says both chapters 25 and 26 end in an exciting cliffhanger situation. Predict what you think will happen in chapter 27. Now, I don't know, maybe some of you already did that. I heard some of you can't stand it and you've already read the whole book. But I just want to go over just a cliffhanger and tell you what that is. A cliffhanger you're going to see mostly with fiction. I mean, you're not going to have that in nonfiction, so it's going to be a fiction, like a narrative story. Cliffhanger is where something ends abruptly, quickly, and it leaves you like curious as to what's going to happen next. People do this with movies also. In this case, it's just ending a chapter because it's wanting you to go on and crave to read that next chapter and finish the book. Sometimes the end of a whole entire chapter book will leave you that way, and you'll want to read book 2 and book 3 and carry on in the series. Same way with movies. If you've seen part 1 and you loved it and you just can't wait, you're going to probably go see part 2 or the second or the sequel when it comes out. So that's all a cliffhanger is, and you can try to go back and predict, if you haven't read yet, what's going to happen in in chapter 27. Okay, and the next thing you get to in your packet is a chart comparing two characters. And I'm going to read the instructions to you. It's difficult to imagine two characters who would be more different than Rob and Sistine. In some ways, they're quite similar, but mostly they're very different in appearance as well as temperament. Compare 6 things about these two people. Please try for a variety of criteria, like physical appearance, personality, age, talents, attitude. So I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. I'm going to use the suggestions that they gave us, and I'm going to grab my whiteboard so that you might can see this a little bit better. I have created a chart, okay? I'm going to hold this up close maybe so you guys can see it. Comparing two characters. Now, my criteria, I used what they suggested on the first 5. Okay? I didn't put physical appearance. You know that means outside, not inside. We've talked about outside traits, inside traits. So what do they look like? Their appearance, their personality, their age, their talents, and their attitude. Now, I added 2, and you're more than welcome to choose mine, or you don't have to do the last. You don't have to do that last 6th one. I did family life and school. Now, I tried to do Rob and Sistine in 2 different colors so you guys could maybe see that well. Okay, so we're going to go to appearance. Rob, of course, the first thing we're going to notice, he's a boy. He's a boy, he has a rash, brown hair, wears old clothes. Now, Sistine, she's a girl. She has a sharp nose and chin, black eyes. Now, their personality. Rob, right here, Rob is shy, quiet, helpful, nervous. But then you have Sistine, on the other hand, who is feisty and brave and outgoing and outspoken. Their age, I think Chloe Turner found the age exactly for me one time, but I tried and I could not find it. All I found was 6th grade. So I'm assuming they're about 12. I put 6th grade on both, and I put 12. I think that's about right. If you find the age again, Chloe, let me know. Number 4, talents. Okay, what are their talents? Well, Rob has a talent. You might not feel like this is a talent, but holding stuff in. I feel like he's also talented because he's helpful. He's willing to help at the motel. Now, Sistine's talent is getting people to be brave and open up. When Rob was around her, he felt like the words just kind of fell out of his mouth. So I think she has a talent to maybe have people feel like they can trust her and talk to her. Attitude. Rob was very respectful. All through the story you hear, especially at the beginning when he's talking at school to the principal, yes sir, yes sir, yes sir. So I say he's very respectful. However, he's angry and distraught because his mother has passed away and he really doesn't know how to live with just his dad. And his dad's having trouble with this too. Okay, the attitude of Sistine, she was disrespectful. She came in and she called all those people from the South a bunch of ignorant people. Well, that's disrespectful. She's angry and bitter because her dad is not there with them. She's aggressive. Now, these are the two I added. Family life, I put mom is gone and dad is gone. That's kind of a way that they are similar, because what we're doing is we're comparing. And when we compare, we have to look at how they're similar and how they're not alike, how they're different. All right, then school. We know Rob hates school. It said he would rather be eaten by a bear than go to school. He gets bullied and he's nervous at school. And then with Sistine, she's also bullied, but she's aggressive and she likes to pick fights at school. Rob tries to kind of fly under the radar so nobody notices him and bothers him. And Sistine, on the other hand, is very flamboyant and feisty, and everybody's going to notice her. So maybe this will help you kind of compare and contrast those two characters and fill that chart in. Okay? All right, now we're going to move on to the next page, and we're going to try to quickly go through these questions because I don't want this to be too long of a video. So before you read chapters 27 and 28, and you may have already read, and that's fine, it says Rita Mae Brown once wrote, "A peacefulness follows any decision, even the wrong one." The next chapter describes a decision made by Rob and its consequences. Some decisions turn out well, and others have unpleasant results. Describe an important decision you once made, and as well as its results. Did a feeling of peacefulness follow your decision? Now, I can give you a quick example, and you don't have to do these, and you don't have to fill these in, but I want you to think about them, and think about, if you can think about a time, fill it in, write it down, get your thoughts out. It's like a journal. I'm thinking about a time when I was in elementary school, and I didn't do an assignment I was supposed to, and so I just kind of copied somebody else's and cheated a little bit. It wasn't a test, but it was an assignment. I had lied to my parents, and I lied to my teacher, and that was not a good decision, and it made me feel bad inside. But then I decided to confess and let my teacher know, and I asked my teacher if I could stay in from PE and talk to her privately one day, and I did, and guess what? She already had figured it out. She already knew. So that kind of felt like almost like a weight had kind of lifted off of me, that I was honest, and my teacher didn't hate me. Yeah, she was disappointed, but I was able to redo the assignment and do it my own self, and it just kind of made me feel better. Okay? So that's kind of that peacefulness that follows the decisions that you make. All right, we're going to move on to the questions for chapters 27 and 28. What was the tiger's initial response when Rob first opened the door to its cage? You're going to find that on 102 and 103. And when they opened the cage, at first, nothing happened. The tiger didn't even notice. You're going to find that on 102 and 103. Number 2, what did Rob and Sistine have to do to make the tiger leave that cage? That's going to be continuing on page 103. So at first when they opened it, the tiger didn't even move. So they had to kind of do something to get it to pay attention. Number 3, why do you think that the tiger didn't attack Rob and Sistine when it was let out of its cage? Now I'm going to read something to you real quick on pages 103 and 104. It's the very bottom of 103 and top of 104. He put his nose... let me go back a little bit. As they stared, the tiger stepped with grace and delicacy out of the cage. He put his nose up and sniffed. He took one tiny step and then another. Then he stopped and he stood still. Sistine clapped her hands, and the tiger turned and looked back at them both. His eyes were blazing. And then he started to run. He ran so fast it looked to Rob like he was flying. His muscles moved like a river, and it was hard to believe that a cage had ever contained him. It didn't seem possible. So, why do you think that they didn't get attacked? Do you think the tiger was like thanking them for letting them out? Tigers really don't have brains like that, I don't think, anyway. So, I think maybe it just wasn't hungry. Maybe it saw that taste, or could taste that freedom, and just saw, if I run, I can get away. And it really wasn't caring about people, just wanted to get away into the freedom. So maybe there's some choices you can put down on that one. Number 4, from the beginning of chapter 28, proved that both Sistine and Rob had doubts about whether they did the right thing in letting that tiger go. I'm going to go to page 105 in chapter 28. It's the first page. This is the first thing that Sistine says. "Oh," said Sistine in that voice that Rob loved. "See," she said, "that was the right thing. That was the right thing to do." She says something to herself twice. If I say something to myself twice, I mean, I am myself, so I already know what I'm thinking. If I'm going to say something out loud twice, that might mean that I'm kind of questioning myself. We've talked a lot in my pod, Stewart and Robinson's homerooms this year, about every action has a consequence. If you're willing to do the action, then you have to be willing to pay the consequences. And there are lots of consequences for letting this tiger out. Okay, number 5, what resulted when Rob opened the suitcase? I'm going to read aloud on page 106 and 107. "That was my tiger," Rob screamed. "You killed him! You killed my tiger!" He ran at his father and attacked him. He beat him with his fist. He kicked him, but his father stood like a wall. He held the gun up over his head and he kept his eyes open and took each hit without blinking. And Rob saw that hitting wasn't going to be enough, so he did something that he thought he would never do. He opened his suitcase, and the words just sprang out of it, coiled and explosive. So what happened when he opened? All those words just came out explosively. And do you think this was a good or bad thing for Rob, and why? Now, that's your opinion. A lot of times, we've talked about when you push and push and push and keep your feelings down, it can cause you, like with Rob, maybe to have a rash, or it can cause you to have a tummy ache. If you're constantly trying to put your feelings aside and not let your feelings out and talk to people about things that bother you, that might happen. You know? I mean, I think that he probably felt good after it was all said and done because he was able to voice what he thought and get all of those feelings out into the open. Like I said, keeping things in might cause you to have a tummy ache or get sick or be nauseated or just not feel good even. Or it could cause a rash or something like that. You never know. Okay, the last thing I'm going to leave you with is before 29 and 30, before you read the chapters. As you begin the final chapters, describe what you think would be the perfect ending to this novel. All right, all you animal lovers, I'm out there waiting to hear these, what you think or how you think the story should end. We all want to see the tiger let go. We all want the tiger to have freedom. But we do have to think about the consequences. So, anyway, I think that's it for today. I hope you guys are enjoying this because we are almost on our last chapter.